Yo, yo! It's the show that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friends. Fastest freaking show in MLB, absolutely anywhere. With your boy. With your fucking boy. Are you ready? Let's go! John! I said. Wait a minute. Man, I am coming out the chair. Who am I? The girl named Sugar. Your host, Big Johnny Stud. Follow me up on Twitter at John the Gazer Flow. Sharpening the damn razor. We are getting ready to play. Oh, can I freaking wait? Let's go! Get on your way! Can't wait, yo. Getting ready to turn the page on fantasy baseball. If you are doing the last minute thing, I still have a high stakes home league coming up. All the fantasy stuff is still out there. You know, we got uploadable ranks and tiered rankings. Of course, all the stats, the IL sheets, and the lineup tracker, all that stuff is still available, and it will be available all year. Even if I remove it from the set, you can copy it and keep it, or just ask me for it. All right, let's go. So the opening day starters are out. Might as well time fucking rev up the model. Know what I'm saying? What better time than now? So we're going to look into that in a little bit. We'll go over the probables. I want to talk about our in-season schedule at some point, and then also the move into prediction markets, which I'm especially excited about, which is going to affect the schedule that I was mentioning before. I used to be more of the early bird than anything. I'm a family guy. Hi, this is the thing. You know, wife and kids, regular life and shit. Used to hate running the model at night. Not all the games are even posted. Some are still going on. It just felt like double the work because there really wasn't much of an advantage because you're not even guaranteed. Sometimes we would find totals that we loved that ended up being really advantageous. But at the end of the day, I didn't know if it was really worth it. Now it's absolutely worth it. Remember, prediction markets, the reason trading is different than betting, right? It's not a binary event. You're live on a price, which is going to change that you could then exit on. For example, you bet on a team at plus 100, right? 50-50 odds to win. Double your money, really easy math. Years past, we bet on the fucking Pirates, right? Dark horse team we kind of like. They're coming in at plus 100. We think they got the edge. Model spits out. Now, again, I'm going to be gearing a lot of this to the new work. So on the Algo tab, I was already providing American odd money line with the conversion to give everyone an idea of the expected probability from the book. Now that we're putting out our own, line scores with odds, I'm going to add the column to do the comparison for those of us just odd shopping. Again, looking to just be in front of these markets. Back to that example, that plus 100 Pirates ticket, right? We printed at night. We had them at a minus 130, which is 53% or 54%, opposed to the plus 100, which is 50%. Now, of course, that matters. It's always mattered, right? Getting a good price has always mattered. The thing that's different is you were never able to actually capture that value unless the bet cashed, in which case you didn't really capture anything. You just hit a bet that you bet on with some encouraging information on the way. Now that's all changed in that same example. And then we're going to spin this into why bettors fail where traders succeed. That same example, we jumped on the Pirates at 50%. That line moves as expected overnight. Come the morning, Braxton Ashcraft was like the guy I was thinking of, guy we like, right? We had our fucking hands in the dirt. We're not waiting for anybody to tell us who the breakout guys are. Sun comes up. re-rack the model, open up the prediction markets, and you see that our minus 130 has come to fruition. Now, again, in all other past times when you're, again, involved in a binary betting market, you feel great that you're ahead of the market, but it's not physically worth anything. Little bitty peace of mind, right? But now, if the 50 moves to 54, I should probably just do the fucking math. I actually have that. If we were to go, what did I say, minus 130? 56.5%, even more. But it goes to show you why or where we fail sometimes if you're trying to do quick math. So this is even better for our purposes. Because plus 100 to minus 130 is a move that happens all the time. Right? That's a 6.5% swing. I would wake up and cash that fucking ticket, and that's it. And that's it. I'm out. Traders look to achieve between 3 and 5% on successful trades. Degenerate fucking bettors look to double and triple and quintuple and quadrillion-uple, and that's not realistic. And then usually the counter from the same, moron crowd is, well, that's not going to get you anywhere, making a few percent, so compound, let's see, $500, right? We save up a little bit. That example was 6.5%, let's say 5%. How about every day for 45 days? Now, everybody out there, this is a good thought exercise. Before I give you the answer, think of the number. Right? Think of what you think that number is. $500, just 5% a day, right? 5%, 10% is 50. Half of that is 25. So are other people betting 500, looking to make 500 every fucking day? We're betting 500, looking to make 25, and even that feels kind of guilty, right? Somebody like myself with trading experience at a high level, doing real-time derivatives trades, high leverage cash trading, where every fucking tick matters. You would never set a trade with 100% expectation. Like, that's fucking clinically fucking insane. But that's the common thought process in betting, right? Well, you got to get rid of that. So that's number one. But now the actual pathways, the tools are there for us to actually succeed. We're dropping massive bombs today. So again, $500, 5% every day for 45 days. 45 days from opening day is the fucking middle of May? Still the beginning of the season. That answer is just shy of $5,000. And then it scales up from there. So we're going to be looking to compound edge all year using the model, getting in front of liquid prediction markets. Like, very simply put, I could not be more excited about this. For all the CLV we've printed and sometimes gone home with cock in hand, clothes in bandana tied to stick, looking for a place to sleep under overpass. It's wild. The earning opportunities now with the tools at our hand. Perfect time. Enough of that shit. How about more of this? Oh, the pitching sheets, they're up. One more. Oh, man. The pitching sheets are up, and this is what it's all about. And that's not the pitching sheet. Hold on, I got something for that too. Hold on. Survey says, you fucking fat motherfucker. There it is. There she blows. Yanks kicking it off with the Giants. I did Wednesday and Thursday. I didn't want to just model one game. It's such a pain in the ass. The starters were all up. So this is just a little look. I'm going to scroll you through it. This is just one of the sheets. right? So for anybody unfamiliar, on Twitter and Substack, John Legaze is the handle. There are samples of all the data, but I want to try and show you in real time. Sign up and find out what all the fucking hubbub is about. You'll be getting the show 6 days a week. The data is every single day. I take the show off to do mass and hang out with the fam on Sunday, see my pop, my mom. But you will get the data first thing. Chris Knack of fucking dawn, baby, baby. We do not F around. I also know there's some weekend warriors. And even if you're only playing 1 day a week, this stuff's worth it. $2 a week. Have all this work done for you, right? So this matchup sheet is really view only. We also provide a sortable sheet. That's up on the board now. I want to walk everybody through how to use it. Every year, it's just inevitable. A handful of people, sometimes more, are going to ask about this stat. How do we use it? What exactly am I looking at here? And it's once the season starts, it's too difficult. So these sheets, the SP sheet is sortable. The leftmost column in all of my work across all the boards is the game number. This is actually a follower's idea a long time ago, which, again, if you sign up and something is missing that we got, I added for you. The door swings both ways. I'm a player. This is so good because of the feedback. So game number is sortable. So for example, right, you would just sort column A to Z, and that's the game order. Now for pitchers, that will reflect the same matchup board. However, when it comes to the hitters, and this is really helpful, well, I already had it pre-sorted, but let's say it was in alphabetical order. First thing you'll notice, the teams facing left-handed pitchers are in red. Right, nice and bright. So when you want to scroll, because again, we're going to have another way, the pitching sheet is worth it on its own. This team level shit is worth it on its own for you to do this and time sort it. XWOBA and XWOBACon. Good luck with that. And then when we get into the times left and right and time splitting, honestly, you're never going to be able to do this faster than $2 a week. Like, how much work do you do for somebody for $2? Like, if I asked you, shit, I'm a stuck up bastard. I would barely go to the corner to get you a cup of coffee for fucking $2, let alone, an hour of work or hours of work every day, 7 days a week. Again, please, people, I'm a cheap fuck. You should be a cheap ass in this life. Times is rough and tough like leather, you know what I'm saying? But you got to know when your time is being saved. Like, there's no better lesson. So back to the splits on the sheets, and we're going to circle back. I want to try and tie in as much of this stuff as possible. When you're facing the lefty, you just do the scrolls, right? Overall, lefty, then righty. I find it funny, people righty and right. People do righty, then lefty, but like left is on the left side. My left's on my left, so I put left on the left, if that fucking makes sense. This is going to get us to the prop stuff, right? So again, whenever you're facing the lefty, you see the red. I know right now pitching stuff is very popular, so it's built just to scroll, right? You scroll. Red Sox facing lefties last year, middle of the pack, K minus BB. Bit too much swing and miss, but they don't chase. They can lose in the zone with an average amount of aggression. That's just from having the fucking numbers there. Right? I don't memorize any of this. I don't need to. I think fast. I talk fast. I need tools that work with that kind of level of fluidity. Oh, massive fucking bomb drops, kid. Pitching props are very popular, right? Like I said, you want to be on top of this stuff. Be wary of I'm not going to do what I always do and start ranting and raving over fucking airheads selling you minus EV information packaged as some brilliance when it's not. Okay? It is not. Most of these people are shills. They are grifters. They are nothing midwits. Part of, our job being sharp is the filter process, right? That filtration process. If you can't tell the difference between what we're doing and what they're doing, the fucking door is right there. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just beyond words right now, where you get people citing raw K and BB numbers without any context. Again, build the tapestry. This shit matters, okay? The K and BB stuff drives me nuts. You'll see a good example. Team like the Orioles, they're not aggressive and they don't chase. Just on its face, I'd expect their walk rate to pop. You can't just go with they didn't walk, they don't walk. And always being careful with year over year, understanding there's some nuance with roster changeovers and trajectory boosts. I try and handle this stuff as best I can in the model. I do recommend everybody the first week or two, just be easy. Basta. Take it easy. All right, then all your pulled stuff. Again, like I said, ex-Wobicon, to split this stuff, very difficult, takes a lot of time. So let's get back into the pitching side. I mentioned the props, and I wanted to go into that again. Right, so let's go into the pitching sheets, actually. I'll wrap with the props. Okay. Big nose incoming. Okay. Templating matters. Handicapping baseball is like trying to win a sandcastle building contest every day. Some days, everything is smooth, and the castle ends up tall with like curtains and a moat and shit. And other times, things don't, and the details are missing. 2 points. Number one, your level of organization and work ethic is always going to boost your odds of having curtains. Second piece of this puzzle, no matter how detailed it is, the puzzle resets tomorrow. The shore comes in and it's over. Work ethic, sustainability, repeatability. That's what we're selling here. If you don't have somebody with the pail and the shovel in some directions and a piece of land and an idea of what they're going to build, you're going to fall behind. Maybe one day everything falls into place for you, but really process. Now, into the sheets, which every time I bring them up, I just let it wash over me. Now, these are also kind of very specifically built. You want to first start with surface stats, of course, ERA, WHIP, which are flawed. WHIP more important than ERA more susceptible to left on base and BABIP, homer to fly ball, the three legs of the luck stool, as we often talk about, I like to then go into earn run indicators. Again, this is open right now. Take your screenshots while you can, but we're going to be closing this soon. I developed my own earn run indicator that tested out better than expected ERA and Sierra. I've been really involved with the Claude bot, and I've been challenging it, which it's a brilliant piece of technology. Now, you can't be an idiot, and I feel like you could tell which people just regurgitate. But if you have whatever, even my low IQ, you could do crazy things with this. So I then challenged it. I flooded this thing with information, tons of data points, all the splits, all the time stuff, different years, and I challenged it to beat my indicator. Now, according to the Clawbot, it did. It's slight, but all of these things are slight. So rather than ever say, well, I'm replacing mine, right? I didn't even know. If you're looking up at the board, I'm not even replacing the old ones. There was a reason I used Sierra and expected ERA. Another message incoming. I'm trying to do the zoom in to do these one take Insta handles. Follow me over at John_Legeza for the brain rot editions of my work. Before you start using indicators, earn run indicators, that is, Sierra, expected ERA, FIP, and XFIP. I like Sierra and expected ERA. You need to first understand like what they're measuring and what they might be trying to tell you, and if they're telling you something different. Expected ERA and Sierra always my favorite. Expected ERA comes from Savant. It's a translation of xWOBA. Sierra is a skills independent earn run average. I'm not smart enough to reverse engineer the formula, but it is open sourced and it is a brilliant data point. Because we do the show every day and we have this depth of information always available at once, you start to notice trends and see different things. And people would often ask me, which is your favorite, expected ERA or Sierra? I would often say both. And it wasn't really until you work with them all the time, you see not necessarily their flaws, but where they're different. So expected ERA, I find, is a little more susceptible to contact quality. And Sierra, and I guess this is maybe intuitive, skills independent, is more of a disciplinary approach then. Which is more important? I don't know. I would always assert disciplinary metrics are more in the pitcher's control than contact quality. That argument is a tale as old as time. Does the pitcher control the contact quality allowed? Is it purely in the hands of the hitter? The answer is probably somewhere in the middle. Over time, pitchers with really good control that keep it down will probably avoid home runs. If you're constantly throwing strikes, you'll probably avoid walks, right? There are certain predictive natures to inputs, I think, that are, again, just intuitive. It makes sense. Which of those is better? I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow. But I use them in accordance, similar to the two hard hit rates, raw versus the proprietary blend. Which is better? You need them both. I started working on the differences, what I saw as weaknesses or maybe holes, and started to improve them. And I'm getting results, and I'm going to share them with you. So they're going to be paywalled, but you're going to get access to both of the custom earned run indicators. And if we're dealing with two earned run indicators that are stronger than the one everyone is using, I'm hoping, again, that's going to be the pathway to finding that 3 to 5%. It's very realistic. I've never sold snake oil or promised millions of dollars because it wouldn't have been true. That said, if you're capitalized and this works, we're going to make a lot of fucking money, yo. This is what it is. So I'm really excited. So that takes care of the indicators. Again, you see Sierra, expected ERA. I very cleverly labeled Claude, and the MLB MA is mine, MLB moving averages. So surface stats into indicators, right? At this point, we're forming a macro idea, what we think about pitchers, and if those surface stats are valid, then over you'll see I have velo, usage, and stuff plus. And I wanted to get into something else here. You'll see in the top cell, I'm trying to talk through some of it. I know I have audio only listeners. I would advise those people to check out the X timeline, check out the YouTube channel that nobody watches. If you're thinking about signing up because you want to make some money in these markets, this is your leg up in the information war for sure. So I like to focus just on four seam only. The samples are bigger, they're more predictable. I also think, as a foundational piece of your arsenal, trying to quantify off-speed stuff, I'm not going to say is a fool's errand. I just think it's extremely difficult to the point I don't think I could add any value to it. What I mean to say is, for me, the impact of secondaries is more defined by their disparity from the fastball, the way that it's changing the hitter's eye level, the location of these things. Is the four-seamer a really good four-seamer that's thrown up in the zone? Does it have good shape and great stuff? So it's one, deceptive because it doesn't sink, but then also really good at either inducing whiffs or pop-ups because a rising fastball doesn't rise, it just sinks less in the field. Throw that up, not only is it deceptive, like I mentioned, but you're creating a greater distance between the handles, right? The hands, the bat, and the ball. So it feeds off each other. So There are secondaries that I can't prove this, but man, I feel really good about it, and a lot of this work is beginning to get validated as the smarter people hash it out. Raw stuff on two different pitches can be the same, but when used with a different type of fastball in a different arsenal, I think gives you a different outcome. So that's why I'm not trying to quantify them. Give me the quality of the fastball, velo usage, stuff plus. And again, I do not want to demean stuff plus because stuff plus, this is actually clever, unlike the Claude name. Stuff plus two Fs, right? Four seam fastball, FF. So when you see the FF plus, that's stuff plus on the four seamer. Eno did such a brilliant job in this. It's such a great shorthand. I don't have a 100% correlation, but geez, man, it's not worth it. If Eno tells you the stuff plus is good in the four seamer, and you have again velo and usage because it matters, right? You could have crazy stuff plus. What if he only throws it 5% of the time as a tertiary? We're not as interested. What if he's got really great stuff plus, but the usage is like near 50? Maybe we want to be a little careful, right? Because again, as great as a four seamer is, it should be part of a kind of woven arsenal, right? Up and down, in and out, pulling back, throttling, speed. While again repeating arm angle and release point, the other things I didn't mention that go into stuff plus, but also really impact how off speed stuff kind of matters. So that was a really, even though it was what I always do is a bit circuitous is the word. I do a little bit of loop to loop sometimes. One, we let people know we are not fucking around, right? This is Ball Knower University, yo. Come get your fucking PhD, bro. But I don't fool around. I'm hand in the dirt. I really do care about teaching, and I think there's an analytical element that gets mixed with the science of the game that then needs to be digested and applied in these betting markets. Now, I'm going to do the majority of that for you, but if I'm going to ask you for money, you should at least know I know what the fuck I'm talking about. It matters. So now we've built, right, a macro understanding of our pitcher, indicators and validation, four-seamer as the foundational piece. Now let's slide on over again. I'm known for my formatting. You can tell I have some compulsive tendencies, but hey, like I was mentioning with that sandcastle, helps. Routine, regiment, right? We don't throw the ball. We don't swing the bat. We don't call balls and strikes, but we do control our work effort, our work ethic, the amount of work that gets done, if it's clean, if it's neat, if it's accurate, if it's being back tested and applied properly. So when it comes to the templating, right, templating is the macro, and then a bit more micro are your physical bins. Those surface stats, the indicators, right, the four-seam understanding, then your discipline. Again, we're the morons, the K rate and BB. Listen, KBB is a wonderful stat and it matters. But it also, you kind of want to know what the inputs are, right? You can have a 20 KBB can be gotten in infinite amount of ways. So right at the bat, people that just do K and BB is wrong. Yes, we could do K minus BB in our head, but why would you do that when you want it there and formatted? Also, if you'll notice, I try and keep these sheets as high and tight, right, for my Marines out there. Outstanding, high and tight, outstanding. I try and keep it really concise. But the story matters, right? You need to have that layered understanding. K, walk, K minus BB, basic. Swing strike, CSW, right? Next level. I love ball rate. In fact, I could do without walk rate if you're giving me ball rate. For those unfamiliar, right, you'll get that every day. That's not even readily available. Fangraphs doesn't even offer it in their split data. You have to do it yourself. There's one person out there that might say, shit, I actually calculate ball rate and it's worth $2 a week. Yeah, damn right it's worth it. Time is precious. Hello. So ball rate pretty much works on the average of about 36%. If you're looking at the board right now, you'll see Freed is actually shaded a little bit worse than average at 36.5. But that's because this is that the sample, the slate, and there's a lot of really good control pitchers going on opening day, obviously. I leave the entire season stats up also, and you get an idea of all the formatting. But just to give you an idea, let's call 36 average, and then every tick, every percentage point is another level of concern in either direction. Think high, medium, low, 3 settings in each direction. 36 is average, up to 37. All right, remember those polls you'd get? Are you satisfied? Like a little satisfied, not satisfied at all, and then disgusted, right? So it's like, all right, worse than average, but tenable, 37. 38, starting to get kind of worried. 39 and above, shit, you have major problems. That's when you get the 12, 13, 14% walk rates, and the guys that just fucking kill you. Other direction, same thing. 35, oh, we got good control here. This is encouraging. 34, this pitcher hammers the zone. 33 and better, elite control, right? Nuance and context pouring out your nose. This is what we do. Then I like first strike, chase, and zone contact to finish up what I call the bully metric. First strike and chase rate in particular. When you add the two together and they go over 100, I call that pitcher a bully, right? You've earned your bully stripe. You get up, you get ahead, you make the hitter chase your junk. What it's all about. Do you throw strikes? Do you put them in? Pitchers counts when they're behind, when the numbers show. Right? Hitters are behind, produce worse. So you want to get ahead, and then you want to be able to induce chases. Hitters behind, more likely to chase. So if you get ahead and you induce chases, now you're talking. Zone contact also is very helpful because we want to know if a pitcher can win in zone, right? You could throw strike. Not every swing and miss is a chase, right? We want pitchers that induce chases, but we also want pitchers that can win in zone. That's where a lot of the filthy breaking stuff comes into play. Can you challenge a hitter? Doesn't have to be a four-seamer. I mean, you have to throw for a fucking strike, but full count stuff, let's say. Then I have your luck stuff. Left on base, BAA next to BABIP. And that's your disciplinary bid. This is where the majority of my focus is. Strike throwers that get whiffs can sit hitters down when need be without allowing free passes, right? That's the elite profile. Next up, and as I mentioned before, for me, contact and contact quality are less in the pitcher control than discipline. So I put elevation and power stuff afterwards. Let's dive on it. People are familiar with ground ball, of course, line drive, fly ball. Now, anybody presenting fly ball without infield fly is making a mistake. There are, let's see if anybody fits the bill on this slate. Freddie Peralta is a perfect example. Okay, Freddie Peralta is a perfect example. So Freddie Peralta, very high fly ball pitcher, 46%, very, very high. You get a hint it's not as bad as you think because the line drive rate is so low. The thing is, without seeing that ridiculously high 14.5% infield fly, right, you're going to lack the knowledge of the winning up top. Right, guys that have fastballs that win up top, stuff that wins high in the zone is huge. Peralta very good at limiting contact, right? You see that, right? So you get fly balls with tons of pop-ups. They're not hit hard, and he has a one flat homer 107 is very good, especially given those inputs, right? So you got to be careful with fly ball pitcher equals home runs. Now, granted, because of the amount of fly balls Freddie throws and the amount of innings he throws, he's probably going to give up a lot of home runs. Is a guy going to give up another 21 homers or more? Probably. But he's, going to get you 175 plus innings. So homer 9 could be normal. The total is not going to be crazy. But so infield fly and fly ball really matter. Homer to fly ball matters. Just be careful automatically regressing because some pitchers lose that high pitch. Pitchers without great fastball stuff tend to lose late in counts when they need to throw strikes and when they've walked two guys already and the pressure's on, it's bases loaded, no out. And there's a patient hitter with a good eye, going to be in trouble. That's how it happens, right? That's when the cascading failure happens. And usually, for at least for my money, that stuff is predicated on throwing strikes. So for me, disciplinary metrics are always going to be the most important thing. And then from there, you worry about contact. Because also remember, contact is balls that were struck. We tend to think about this in reverse. It's probably a little easier to explain for hitters. But this was the Miguel Sano principle. So Miguel Sano gets up 100 times, strikes out 99. No one is surprised. The one that he made contact with hasn't landed yet. It's circling Mercury or whatever. 100% barrel rate. Not really that valuable, man. Or I guess the other way that would work too, right? If you struck him out 99 times and the one hit was a 122 mile an hour, 565 foot gargantuan monster shot. Your average home run is crazy, your hard hit is crazy, but it's actually not. So nuance and context, always going to be at the fore of our work, and just try not to be overwhelmed. And if I didn't do a good enough job explaining this stuff, by all means, hit me up to ask about it. If anyone is still kind of wondering, I provide totals, right? So some of the younger, more gifted people can build off this. I provide lefty and righty splits. Again, I tend to think they matter, but you always want to be careful of sample size. I have total batters faced to help you along with the calculations, but just be careful. And then the last thing, any DFS and prop bettors or even daily fantasy players, there's a little prop section here at the end. Strikeouts per game, walks per game, outs per game, and then very important, pitches thrown per game started. Not something you really just find anywhere. And I think, the Substack is cheap enough that it shouldn't be a disqualifier if you're already even signed up for other shit. So my prop people, you're always set up every single day. People looking for your walk props. Yeah, you're not going to just go off it, right? I wouldn't tell you, don't just go by walk rate, but do go by walk per game started. Once samples start getting up, again, you could reverse engineer it. You're generally not going to find many elite ball rates behind guys that are averaging more than 2 walks per game started. And if anything, it just becomes a really good starting point for your research, right? And then you jump to the hitter page with the split, do the scroll, and in like a matter of seconds, you're it's not just like you're informed. To me, and maybe this is the compulsion thing, maybe this is just being scatterbrained Tasmanian devil. For me, not interrupting the train of thought is even more valuable than just the time. Not having to stop and start. I was thinking about this, but now I need the data point. Does he chase a lot? Oh shit! I don't know where to find this. And the machine is never flowing. We want to hit the fucking flow state, right? That it's just so zen. But this didn't happen by accident, and that's why I ask you to help me improve it. The total batters face was not my idea. How stupid am I? A year and a half took me before the split total batters face was up. Somebody said, hey, John, it would be helpful if I kind of knew, right? What if the lefty numbers are out of whack, but it's only 20 hitters? And I was like, oh, don't say a no mas, say less, as the kids would say. And the next morning it's up. Given something's within reason, I'm going to do my absolute damnedest, especially something that really makes sense, like something that I feel like I owe, with the quality of the promised product. So in 49 jillion words or less, the pitching sheets. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? Come on. And this ain't even it. This is just the tip of the iceberg, right? You get the hitter sheets, you get the bullpen stats also. Those are up on the screen. When this is last season's, once it starts, I'll keep 2025 for a little bit, but then I'll be doing the same thing. I'm actually just move 2025 over and then start filling in 2026. Then when we get to 2 weeks, I like to do year to date in 2 weeks, just to give us an idea. Macro, biggest sample, smallest stuff. What's going on? Is something out of whack? Did somebody get injured? Has they made a change? Is this the new norm? Difference in utilization, all the stuff I'm going to be taking care of. Maybe you get the cooked bullpen report, which I did not as like a goof or a gag, but just I was trying to think of useful content to fill a hole that needed to be filled. And I want to hat tip my guy Toasty Sam right now. He's part of the Source Network with Kyle Kerms. That is my homie, yo. Those guys are one of us, one of us, one of us. Oh man, hopefully I'll be back with them. But Toast, so Sammy is extremely, he was beyond astute with his understanding of bullpen usage. I mean, you know, the way I talk about things, you can't just sit down and know all this stuff. He'd be going on, and I'm like, you MFer, man. No one spends more time on this than I do, and I couldn't tell you who went back-to-back days just looking at a third. Who threw more than 50 pitches in the last 2 days? Relievers we're talking about. I have found. So relievers will go a third day. On the third day, I kind of noticed a drop. So I look to attack relievers on the third day. I'll mark relievers that are coming off of more than 50 pitches thrown in 2 days. On the report, you get that every day. That's first thing in the morning. I found it is the piece of information that takes the longest to get digested. In fact, I'm one of the people doing it, and I would cover it on the show, and you'd see the prices move in real time, which again is alluding to the whole point of this, which is making money in markets. So like if our model is effective and we're in front of markets, that action in itself will create that same momentum, and we're going to be a fucking printing press. You know, there's just literally no way around it, right? If our information is deemed sharp by the market, and that edge is worth 3 or fucking few percent in these markets, we're going to hit that compound number that we were talking about and just go fucking bananas this fucking year. I mean, so in a nutshell, that's what we're looking to do. You know, if you've listened to this entire podcast and haven't signed up, daily stuff is not for you. You're not good at calculating value, or this entire thing went over your head, because I think this is too cheap. But I've always been about community. I've also done really messed up stuff in my life, and I'm trying to spent the last couple of decades, like, you know, trying to correct it, man. When I hit the pearly gates, bro, you know, I want the last few chapters of the book to, be clean, if anything. So we mentioned the stats. Bullpen stuff is up. Okay, I ran the model. I didn't print it yet. I don't want to share it because I don't want to mislead anybody. I have a little bit more smoothing out to do. No rush. But then every day also you get Algo scores. Those also, I move those onto a implied team total sheet. So again, you can see like this kind of works for everything. The Algo sheet is going to give you all your money line, F5, and over under edges. I calculate all that stuff for you. Then the implied team total sheet, you use that for the daily totals, right? The daily leaderboard, the highest team total was what I was looking for. Shout out my guy Jason. Jason, if you hear this, hit me up, man. This is what I meant to focus on. Just remind me, team totals. You get that printed every day. The favorite is usually 13, 14, or 15 to 1. I had a couple of subs that had a ton of success, and it's fun because it's low risk betting with a chance to make money. Unlike grinding your cock for straights. I don't want to just say take the top 3 scores. Generally, right, there's a couple scores that separate from the pack, right? The scores that we have modeled over 5, a team total that we have modeled over 5. Those are the ones you're going to want to be looking at. But you also want to do some level of calculation with the odds, right? So if let's say we had 4 teams separated. Here, hold on. Let me do this Insta fucking clip. When you sign up for the model, every day before the crack of dawn, you get all the implied team totals for that particular slate. All nice and clean, one sheet. You don't need a calculus degree for any of this stuff. DraftKings, other books, FanDuel was doing it, will host a daily special for highest team total. I like to look for the teams that are either at 5.25 on the model or better, or teams that separate. Generally, the underdogs are 12, 13, 14, or 15 to 1. Similar to playing a golf ticket, right? An overall winner. That's the best analogy when there are high odds involved. High enough that you could split a ticket. In fact, you should. I would never advise trying to hit one 15 to 1 off the model. I'd much rather take my betting unit. Now, granted, you shouldn't even be putting a full unit on these, right? You should be taking a piece of a unit. It's probably a quarter unit or a half unit. I'm a very responsible bettor. I think everyone should be playing very conservative in general and compounding, like I was mentioning before. So take whatever designated amount you have that you could play responsibly. This is a 7-day-a-week market. And splitting that between the top 3 or the top 4, depending on the pricing, right? You may not necessarily want the 3 favorites. If, let's say, it's the Dodgers and the Yankees, they're in a smash spot and they're plus 10 to 1, plus 1,000. Where 2 of the other 4 teams that we have modeled were plus 30 to 1. Now, you can get exposure to all those teams if you twist the nipples and adjust the risk so that every play is a winning venture, right? That's the most important thing. That is, make sure that you divvy up the risk so if any cross the finish line, you're a winner. There's nothing stupider than playing these long shot tickets or ladder bets where you can hit and the thing is not going to put you in the black for that move. Just totally asinine. Enough of my fat fucking nose. All right, we're going to get out of here in a minute. So, right, stats, team totals, starting pitcher ranks every day for the daily people. Remember, the implied team total is also good for daily players. That's like your stack. Because I also do hitter props. Listen, I can't stomach these people that put out 5 million hitters. So I just put out the ones that really ring. Okay. With that, DFS players know you backfill your lineup with correlated pieces. You're looking for the teams at the top and stacking the shit out of them. Look for the back of those lineups. So a little something for everybody, daily fantasy players and fantasy players. I do also a waiver report for fantasy heads. All the stats, implied team totals, algo stuff, and then, of course, the show. So, beginning of the year, I do everything for free because I'm a hooker shaking my tits for everybody. Trying to fool you into the champagne room. But then I got to shut it off, right? Because if you're going to be this good at something, you shouldn't do it for free. And yeah, I really can't wait. I think that's it. I'm sure I forgot. I'm sure I forgot something. I could check my promotional tab. And I think that'll do it. Follow up the work. Check me out on Twitter. Check out the Insta. Check out the Substack. Support good people doing good work, man. I'm busting my ass. I'm a good guy. I care about you. I want to protect your capital. I want to help you learn and even learn lessons that'll resonate into your real life. Not everybody can say that. And I say that very proudly and very confidently. So in-season schedule, Algo scores, SP ranks, implied team totals, stats, strikeout projections in the afternoon. How could I forget? The bullpen report, all the sortable stuff, and the base props plus me. So thanks for picking up what I'm putting down here at Corked Stats. Check out the Twitter feed for musings, stats, ranks, and the like. And just all the stuffs and things you can handle. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to learn a shit ton. We're going to have some laughs and make some money in the process. So I don't know if it gets any better than that. So from Big Johnny Stud and everybody here at the MLB MA family, enjoy the games, enjoy the day, and when we're done with the book, enjoy the pay. Remember, when you work this freaking hard, man, the winning feels a lot less like luck, yo. Peace.